Hello everyone, happy Monday, happy previous Mother's Day, and we have Bitcoin kind of slowing down its movements right now. Is my OBS connected to my stream? Refreshing, but it's not showing up. All right, there we go. Nice. So, what happened? I did not stream yesterday or day before, so we got a couple stuff to go over. First of all, we are no longer in overbought territory, and a bit of a reversal has happened, evidently. We reached a high of 105,812. From there, it's been a 4.84% drop. We reached a low point of 100,693. A bit spooky, but we bounced immediately up from there. Current price is 102,400, which is still not bad. As long as we're above 100,000, I think we're still good. I would even give it a pass to go below 100,000 to around this level, 98,000. I'd be fine with the price hitting for once. Couple reasons why. If from here, this little high point that we had ever since our recovery, all the way to where we are right now is about 3%. RSI is exactly at 50, right? If we drop this another 3%, give it even like 4%, 3.52, whatever. That's when I would consider us to be oversold, possibly. Oversold in an uptrend, this could be a very, very delicious entry if something like that happens, right? This area right over here, if we are oversold, I would be entering very heavily, and I can't believe I'm saying that, but I'm going to be buying at 98 or 99,000 Bitcoin because I am in the small amount of people who believe that Bitcoin will still continue higher. No, it's not FOMO, and no, I will not be putting everything in, right? Because things can still drop. This uptrend can absolutely break. We can continue a bit lower, although this uptrend is crucial for us to maintain, and we have been maintaining it ever since our recovery over here. But we do have a longer term uptrend as well that we can absolutely maintain. There have been some people that are calling for Bitcoin to go much lower. Realistically, sure, it can hit the 80,000 level and we'd still be in an uptrend. Like for the bull cycle itself, we've seen how quickly we can drop and how quickly we can recover. So it could go either way, but I'm still glad to enter a bit of entries over here using a stop loss, of course, because you will be entering in the futures market. Anything can happen, like I said. Are we at the end of the cycle? Absolutely not. No, I think we're still going to continue rising. We're going to hit those targets by end of year. Either 180,000 to 220,000 is what most people are projecting, myself included. Anyway, so we slowed down at this resistance, 105,000. Next resistance, we have new pivot levels. It's looking at 108,200. And then we got our all-time high of 110,000, you could call that. And then the next resistance coinciding with this extension of the fib zone at 112,200, we'll call that. After that, you got a third resistance at 119,800. I don't think we will be seeing these levels this week, but just in case, they're there. 122,400 is next. 127,000. I don't imagine these numbers. That's a bit spooky. And then 135,500 over here is, I think, the ultimate goal for many before we maybe start seeing some reversal. I would expect us to be at this level by July, August. If I'm projecting this correctly. That's at least what my indicators indicate. So we'll see what happens. Super trend bullish, still valid even up to 98,000. So that's why I'm saying, like, if we are around this zone over here, we are oversold. Hopefully we would be oversold. That would be my entry signal right there. And I pointed it out, I'm pretty sure, before. A couple things. We had like a previous support somewhere around here from last week pivot points. It was something like this. We also had this Fibonacci. We had the super trend. We had the uptrend. All coinciding. If a drop is to happen below 100,000, it's going to be very, very difficult to break below 98,000. If we do, prepare for worse, of course, but 98,000, I'm pretty confident to say we are easily going to bounce from there. A lot of liquidity is likely going to be waiting. They should all be seeing what I'm seeing, so that's why you shouldn't go too crazy with your indicators. You should be keeping it simple, right? So that you can see what other people would see. Ideally, at least. Is this working? Yes. Okay. Great. So that's what we have for Bitcoin. Not looking too bad still, like I said, 102,000. Perfectly fine. We're technically down 2%, but that's because we were at 105,000 yesterday. It was a bit of a Mother's Day gift. So enjoy that while you can. Ethereum 2468 was able to maintain itself pretty well, actually, above this Fibonacci 2400, right? So we're currently there. Highest point we reached was 2623. I have resistances at 2770, around this zone. Max to 794, minimum to 747. So those are the levels I'm looking out for. And I'm pretty sure I covered this with you guys, right? This huge breakout for Ethereum, absolutely demolishing this downtrend. But I'm pretty sure we do have another one coming up next that we have to check out later. From here, we can still have a drop to 2,137 and still be considered in an uptrend. So that's fine as well. We have two levels really to be monitoring. The pivot level, 2,272, and then 2,137. I'd use that as our dynamic resistance. From there, if we do flip bearish, worst case scenario, we stay above the 2,000, right? We have supports and Fibonacci levels and psychological level. And if it does take time as well, we could even get some reinforcement from the uptrend that we have here. I don't think we're going to drop that sharply, but Ethereum does tend to surprise at times, whether that be a good surprise or a bad surprise. So make of that what you will. 2.60% down today. Let's move on to Solana. 1.97, almost 2% down. Current price at 171. That's really good, actually. We reached a high of 181. This was yesterday, and we're currently chilling around this support level at 171. Pivot level, in case we do drop, is at 164, and invalidation zone would be at 152, which I think this should continue rising as time goes on to keep up the determination whether or not this uptrend is valid or not. I do feel like the super trend can rise up to this pivot level. It would really depend. Resistances we have is at 186 and then 195. Man, I would love to see Solana above 200, and I think it absolutely can happen. It will happen, no doubt. Moving on, XRP is up today, unlike the rest, surprisingly. He had a nice breakout over here, reached a new high based off of recovery levels at 265. Not a new all-time high, not a new anything high, but just, you know, our highest point since our recovery, which is nice to see for XRP. Bit of volatility here as well. We're currently, though, headed toward the downside, but it's still up nonetheless in the last 24 hours. We were at a low point of 232. That was the level that I was a bit upset about, right? XRP unable to pass 230, whatever. It managed to do that this time. So it broke the downtrend, right? We reached a high of 265. Resistance we have at 270. From there, I don't know, it's kind of doing its own thing at this moment, but we should be chilling around this 250 zone, right? 248 is the current price. I think we could continue a little bit upward, right? 1% up, and we should be back up there. Uptrend is still valid, and it's coinciding with this line, the uptrend line that we have, so that's really good as well. Sui is one of the ones that is most down today, but it's just a volatile coin in general, and it's fine, really. 389 is the current price. We did reach a high of 429. That is fantastic for Sui. And we're currently on our way down to this pivot level at 377, worst case. And this uptrend is still looking very strong, very healthy. So I'm not too concerned with Sui at the moment. A drop would be pretty neat, so I could enter more. I want to enter more, but I'm not going to enter like with a large amount at the smallest return, like drawdown, right? You know what I mean? I'd wait for like a significant drop in the price, something major, something catastrophic. That's when I'd be entering. This time, no fear, and I've got a lot of capital this time ready to deploy. So I'm expecting for that. Maybe I won't even get to use all the capital, and I'm just going to have to rise with the rest of what I have. And there's still stuff that I do need to rise as well. A lot of altcoins still have not recovered, one of those being Cardano, which we'll talk about Still at 80 cents. We'll get to that. First, let's talk about Litecoin. Current price 102.48. Decent moves as well for Litecoin. It is on its way up still. The uptrend is still valid. It had ETF hype, and nothing else came of it though. Staying above 100. Pivot level at 95, resistance at 110 exactly, coinciding with that Fibonacci level. So from there to there, it's about an 8% rise. Good potential for Litecoin. I do see that. 102 is the current price. It's perfectly fine. Cardano is at 80. I actually managed to enter some position in Cardano right over here because I think it is actually very undervalued compared to the rest. A bit crazy though. It does have a lot of room to drop still. About a 13% drop before it, starts returning, possibly if worse things come to worse. I don't even think this week is going to be that bad. I'm just preparing for the worst. Just in case, right? That's what we have for Cardano, not Litecoin. The resistance that we have is at 87. We reached 86 as our high point, so it's kind of working there. I wonder if I have any Fibonacci levels drawn. I don't think I do. I would have to draw one, so let's do that. From this point till our low point over there. That's going to be the fib. There to here. Looking for resistances, right? That's perfectly coinciding. And then we got a couple levels in between these pivot resistances. This looks like it's going to be possible breakout zone at $1 and 3. Anything above $1 would be important. Okay. Now I'm going to talk about some of the news, the key events that we have for this week. Data that we'll be getting tomorrow is April CPI inflation data. That's important, either CPI and PPI inflation data. It'll help determine what the Fed's decision for the interest rates will be. OPEC monthly report, that has to do with crude oil. If you guys work with that asset, you'll be able to see what the reports are there. It's a monthly report, so that'll be important. Thursday is when we're getting the PPI data and April retail sales. I don't think that's too significant, but what will be significant is Fed Chair Powell will be speaking on Thursday. It'll be interesting to see. This was sudden, I think. Like, last week I checked, and I did not see this. I probably missed it, but it's official now. He will be speaking on Thursday. Might get some market volatility then. And there's also another thing happening Thursday. It's not on this list because it's not really economic data. It's about the ceasefire deal that Vladimir Putin and Vladimir Zelensky, Russia, Ukraine, will be meeting up in Turkey to possibly discuss a ceasefire deal. And peace will be bullish, of course, for the markets. And then Friday, we're getting consumer sentiment data. I don't think that's that important. But Thursday, I think, is going to be the most important day out of this week. And also, U.S.-China trade talks. We will be talking about that right now. U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says we have made substantial progress in trade talks with China. They were talking, this was the big deal, everything that was being talked about over the weekend, especially yesterday. And that's part of the reason why we saw everything spike up in price at such good news, right? Bitcoin reaching a high of 105, for example. But we unfortunately have already corrected from that. I'm guessing a lot of people were taking their profits and all that, right? So it would kind of make sense. Here's what was posted by the White House yesterday, May 11, at 1 p.m. The U.S. announces China trade deal in Geneva, per the White House. That is in Switzerland, yeah. U.S. officials and Chinese officials met up over there in Switzerland, and Bessent told reporters that details would be announced on Monday and that U.S. President Donald Trump was fully aware of the results of the productive talks with Chinese Vice Premier He Lifeng and 2 Chinese vice ministers. Trump even posted this as well on his Truth Social, saying a very good meeting today with China. That was yesterday. In Switzerland, many things discussed, much agreed to, a total reset negotiated in a friendly but constructive manner. We want to see for the good of both China and the US, an opening of China to American business. Great progress made, is what he said. And of course, the day after was when everything was confirmed and we got all the details. So here's the details, right? The US, this is the trade deal that's happening with China. They're cutting their tariffs on Chinese goods, some Chinese goods, from 145% down to 30%, and that'll be active for 90 days. China likewise will be cutting the tariffs on US goods from 125% down to 10% for 90 days as well. And of course, the futures, they opened up immediately after, like NASDAQ, S&P 500, and they were already on the rise, which was great. The stock market saw a good gap in this morning, so yeah, things were looking up very well. U.S. Secretary Scott Bessent said as well that the U.S. can always go back to April 2nd levels for tariffs on China, saying stuff like, if they don't follow through, if they violate anything, then we'll go back to what happened April 2nd, Liberation Day, if you don't remember, where everything dropped. Bessent says that it's implausible for tariffs on China to go below 10%, so that is probably the minimum. He says the current tariff levels are the floor, and April 2nd levels will be the ceiling. They basically promise we will not impose tariffs on China greater than 145% ever again. So that's pretty good. It's nice to see that they're reaching some sort of accord, right? But Trump's biggest problem persists even as the trade deals are announced, and this has to do with the bond yields, right? The tariffs are paused for 90 days. I don't know why. 90 days seems to be like a special number, by the way, just on a side note. And that's why I also like, and there used to be these polls out there, like, how long do you think these tariffs will be lasting for, will be going on for, like the deals and everything included? And I said, well, months. It's going to take months, right? It's not going to be a thing of a couple days or weeks. It's going to go on for months. And the 90 days every time, like we had a 90-day pause for Canada, Mexico. We had a 90-day pause for everything that was done on April 2nd, Liberation Day. And then, of course, this with the US and China, another 90-day pause. Inflation data is down, as we all know, but the 10-year yield is nearing 4.50%, and Trump needs lower interest rates, but those interest rates aren't falling. He is really trying his best, and he wants Jerome Powell to cut rates, but Powell seems to, hold his ground and say, you know what, no. Some people think it's because Powell is becoming anti-Trump or something, but realistically, he's just looking at the economic data and saying, you know what, it's not necessary, right? Why would we have to cut interest rates? Inflation is perfectly fine. Unemployment is almost fine as well. Inflation is inching lower, right, to their target. And unemployment is where they want it to be at 4%. So that's perfectly fine. And that's what the Fed is supposed to do, right? Just ensure that everything is balanced. If we start seeing too much deflationary pressure, then interest rates can start getting cut to add more, to inject more liquidity, right? They'd have to turn on the money printer. And that in turn will drop the rates, which is what Trump wants. But how is he going to achieve that? It's not very likely at this point. And to make things worse, it seems like the market, I'm pretty sure, could be reacting to this. This could be one of the reasons why we're currently dropping, is because of the amount of rate cuts that we are projected to have this year. We initially started off with 4. I don't know if you remember that, but now for this next meeting in June, it's an 88% chance nothing happens. Next meeting in July, 55% chance nothing happens. We're going to get one rate cut in the meeting of September, 88% chance. And one more rate cut meeting of October, 66%. And then December, 70% chance nothing happens. So that's just 2 rate cuts for this year, right? So from 4 rate cuts, we went down to 3 last week, and now it's down to 2 this week. So what Jerome Powell is going to say this week on Thursday will be important in terms of what is going on over here. Now, first of all, he's probably going to say, yeah, it's all good, because this is something that he did project, something along the lines of, given a worst case scenario with this whole tariffs and with worse expectations for U.S. economic growth, we are still expecting to see at least 2 rate cuts this year, is something that he mentioned in the earlier meetings of this year. Markets still projected 4 But now it's all looking towards that 2 rate cuts this year, which, we're still getting rate cuts. It's not that bad. But the more the merrier, right? So, yeah, that's kind of where we're at right now. 2 rate cuts for this year, one in September, one in October. Yeah. I don't know if Trump is going to like that, but we shall see. To make things even more tense, more speculative, more exciting, I would say, to the market, this has to happen, of course, over the weekend yesterday. Trump posted this on Truth Social saying that his next truth, his next post, will be one of the most important and impactful he has ever issued. Enjoy. And people were wondering, oh, what's it going to be? What's it going to be? And this is one of the things that he did mention as well. When he met up with the Canadian Prime Minister, he said, we're going to be announcing something very important, by the way, either by the end of the week or by next week, Monday, which is today. And it turns out it was today or the day before. He kind of alluded to what was going to happen, and today it was made official. The executive order was signed, and people were speculating, like I said, does it have to do with crypto? Does it have to do with trade? He said it doesn't have to do with trade. There was a lot of speculation, but it ended up having to do with pharmaceuticals, with the healthcare, right? This is his most important and impactful truth statement of all time. In summary, because I'm not going to read all this, but if you want to read it, it's here. I already read it. It says that President Trump will be signing an executive order today, Monday, to reduce drug prices by 30% to 80%. He had RFK Jr. and a bunch of other dudes there, and they spoke. I watched it all. They answered a lot of questions, so we'll get to that. The health secretary was set clear targets for price reductions for U.S. drug prices within 30 days. Here's the details of everything that was mentioned. I'm going to try to find... it would have been 10 hours ago. No, 12 hours ago. Here. Health Secretary will say... Yeah, I read that. BlackRock, la la la. Yeah, we'll talk about that. Total reset with China. Initial agreement doesn't cover tariffs on cars, steel, or aluminum, or pharmaceuticals with China, by the way. And he will maybe speak with Xi Jinping by the end of this week. Maybe. That'll be important, too. Trump is making big moves as well by the end of this week. Likely speaking with Xi Jinping there. China has also agreed to stop the fentanyl. China-U.S. trade talks created conditions for further bridging differences and deepening cooperation, says the China Commerce Minister. He will add on to tariffs if countries don't abide by the drug policy. The drug policy is something that he... Does it even specify here? I want to find... It doesn't specify here. Okay, I'm going to have to say this off of my mind. But what basically is supposed to happen is he's going to be reducing the cost of medicine by whatever the lowest price in any country in the world. How do I explain it? So let's just say there's a pharmaceutical company that sells a drug, a medicine. They sell it in the US for, let's just say, $140, right? Just to give you an example. And then in another country, let's just say in, I don't know, Italy, they sell that for $30 instead of the $140. And they're literally just selling it for $140 in the US just because it's the US and they want to rip people off. So Trump is going to say, okay, let's find this company where they're selling their drug around the world. Okay, $30 in Italy, $40 in China, I don't know. And they'll say, okay, the lowest one is $30, and from Italy, we're going to force this company to sell their medicine at that exact same price, right? That way, so this is obviously bad for pharmaceutical companies. You'll notice a lot of pharmaceutical stock dropped at the beginning of today, based off of this news. The executive order was signed, and yeah, it's going to be official. There you go. It had nothing to do with crypto, unfortunately. So yeah, not much of great importance, but it's a big war on the pharmaceutical companies who have been ripping people off, that kind of deal. And this is one of the big things as well, is that Putin and Zelensky will be meeting in Turkey on Thursday to discuss a ceasefire. Pushed by Trump, right? Trump was making them like, guys, you got to go make this ceasefire deal. Go to Turkey Thursday or else. And Trump even said, he will be in around that area, Saudi Arabia or somewhere, right, in the Middle East, and that he might go up there to visit them as well. So Trump, Zelensky, and Putin in the same room to discuss a ceasefire deal. I think something is absolutely going to happen by Thursday. Something has to happen. And then Friday, he's going to possibly, not Friday, I don't remember if he said, but end of this week, we'll be meeting with Xi Jinping as well. Trump has been really busy. He's been making really big moves, in my opinion. Qatar, royal family, gifted the Trump administration a luxury Boeing 747-8 jumbo jet. That's pretty interesting. They still gave Trump backlash for this, like, oh, why would you accept it? Why didn't you pay money for it? It really is stupid. It'd be stupid to offer money for this if I'm getting it for free, right? Anyway. And now with India and Pakistan as well, I wanted to discuss this. This is also mentioned in this morning's announcement. Trump posted this on Truth Social after long night talks mediated by the United States. He's pleased to announce that India and Pakistan have agreed to a full and immediate ceasefire. Congratulations to both countries on using common sense and great intelligence. Thank you for your attention to this matter. There's no more war in India and Pakistan just like that, thanks to Donald Trump. What did he do? He threatened to sanction them or to stop doing trade deals, something like that, with India and Pakistan if this war continued. And they need the United States, right, to, to do their trade deals. So they're like, okay, you know what? We'll just stop the war. And yeah, they're fine. Trump says he really likes Pakistan. He really likes India. Would hate to see both of them bomb each other. If this was a Democrat government, we would just be sending them weapons and money so that they could explode each other. Because that's how they make money, the Democrats. Lockheed Martin's stock would be skyrocketing right now. You'd literally see what we saw last year with Israel, Iran, right? That kind of deal. So, yeah, literally in those last 48 hours, there was an India-Pakistan ceasefire, Zelensky-Putin meeting, and a trade deal with China. Yep, Trump is doing a great job indeed, my opinion. A Gulf diplomatic source has stated that President Trump will soon issue a declaration regarding American recognition of Palestine as well. I don't know about that one, but sure. This comes amid strained relationships between Trump and Netanyahu due to the Israeli Prime Minister's attempts to sabotage American nuclear negotiations with Iran. This is a big deal right now as well, right? Will Iran come to a negotiation, nuclear deal, right? It's all deals, by the way. Everything is deal, deal, deal. You'll notice. Art of the deal, Donald Trump, it just works. This is like literally made for him. It's perfect. I love it. But yeah. Yeah, I don't know. He might start recognizing the state of Palestine instead. I don't know how it's gonna work. Whatever. Cool. All right, let's talk about some crypto news here. Try to speed things up a little bit. CryptoQuant CEO, I don't know if I shared this. I'm pretty sure I did. He was actually a bit bearish back when Bitcoin was all the way down over here, right? Saying that the bull cycle is over, la la la. Now he said that he was wrong about that, and now he's bullish again, pointing to strong ETF inflows and institutional demand as reasons of why things can continue higher. Nothing wrong in admitting one was wrong, better than those who refused to. That's pretty funny. Yeah, so hey, that's pretty good. Reasons why we're not topped out, in my opinion, this as well. Bitcoin is at $102,000, $103,000. The world is sleeping. Like the Google Trends searches for Bitcoin, it's still at very low levels compared to where it once was in, I'm assuming this is 2021 and 2023. Why did it crash over here? Anyways, this should have been 2024, I'm pretty sure. This is when things started rising in due to ETFs, I'm pretty sure. This is the all-time high at 74,000 at the time. And now we're still at all-time high levels, almost. We're above 100,000, right? That's what matters. But Bitcoin is still, the interest in Bitcoin is still at low points. Retail has not yet fully gone in yet, meaning that we can still absolutely go higher is what this chart is trying to indicate. Michael Saylor even still will be buying the tops. He always said that he currently has $20 billion in unrealized profit. If he just sold everything now, it's $20 billion. That's impressive. And he posted this yesterday. Connect the dots. We know what happens every time he posts this chart. He buys, right? Do I even have it? I don't have it. You can You can check here. I'm pretty sure he posted something. Oh, we just purchased. Yeah, here we go. They bought 13,000 Bitcoins worth $1.34 billion at an average price of 99,856. They now have 568,840 Bitcoins. Michael Saylor is not slowing down. He is accelerating his buys. Justin Sun is also saying that big news is coming up. He posted this yesterday. I didn't know exactly what it had to do. A lot of people are speculating it had to do with World Liberty Financial. I think that could be the thing. Did he post anything after this? I don't understand. Okay. Don't understand. No, he has not posted any updates ever since. But this is something that happened nonetheless over the weekend. Or before the weekend, actually. World Liberty Financial purchased 3,500,000 worth of Ethereum. $3,500,000 worth of Ethereum. Which also explains the big rise that we saw in Ethereum over here. May 9. Right around over here, right? Pushing the price of Ethereum above 2,000, ultimately to a high of 2,500, 600 approximately. Some of it was thanks to World Liberty Financial, so there you go. Thank you, Trump. This is interesting as well that I saw. Conor McGregor is actually advocating for Ireland to adopt a strategic Bitcoin reserve. There's also rumors before that I covered of Conor McGregor wanting to run for Prime Minister of Ireland. He posted this on Twitter. Crypto in its origin was founded to give power back to the people. An Irish Bitcoin strategic reserve will give power to the people's money. He will be co-hosting a Twitter space talking about what he wants to see change, la la la. That'll be pretty good. If this guy does get elected Prime Minister, although I think due to some small technicality he can't, I think I read once before. I don't remember specifically, but still would be good. And governments adopting Bitcoin, short term, that's pretty bullish. And it's kind of what we need right now to push us even higher. He even met up with El Salvador's President Bukele, who already does this, by the way, to discuss establishing a Bitcoin strategic reserve in Ireland. Man, I'm so tired. So it could be happening, man, if this guy actually gets there, or at least if he like advises whoever the next Prime Minister of Ireland is on how to do this whole Bitcoin strategic reserve thing, that'll be great. More countries adopting Bitcoin. Metaplanets as well, which is the Japanese equivalent of MicroStrategy, also purchasing lots of Bitcoin, purchased 1,241 Bitcoins worth $126 million. Average price of literally where it is right now, almost 102,119 per Bitcoin. I think they have even more than... They have more Bitcoins than El Salvador itself at this point, which is pretty interesting. They hold 6,796 Bitcoins. Yeah, pretty good. USDT, they were being expelled from the European Union. Europe does not like crypto or stablecoins or privacy or encryption at all, it seems like. They don't believe in freedom of speech. It's horrible over there, and they got mass immigration. Anyway, USDT issuer, Tether, will now be brought under U.S. jurisdiction, regardless of where it is based, according to the newest version of Genius stablecoin bill, because the US is just being more friendly with stablecoins at this point. There's always these meetings on how to do, discussions with stablecoins along with the Securities Exchange Commission, how to improve it, just always discussing details about that. So it's good that they will be doing that. Facebook to enable crypto payments for their 3 billion users. That'll be pretty cool as well if they do implement that. Meta. BlackRock is also meeting up with Securities Exchange Commission. Crypto Task Force, May 9 is when they met up to seek guidance on staking, tokenization, ETF approval standards, and options on ETFs. That'll be really cool to see, right? It gives better use cases for ETFs, right? You can do options on it, which is something that I mentioned I want to try looking into. Staking as well. It's going to be huge for things like Ethereum, tokenization, ETF approval standard. Yeah, exactly. Like if you want to also approve any other ETFs for any other crypto token, we could be getting a Dogecoin ETF, Litecoin, XRP, Cardano. Are we getting a Cardano ETF? I don't remember. SUI ETF could be happening from Canary or 21 shares. Um, Solana ETF, yeah. And I've also seen a bit of Polkadot ETF and HBAR ETF, but I don't know if those are really on the top of the list compared to the giants like Solana or XRP. We'll see though. I hope a SUI ETF does come out. Bitcoin dominance starting to decline, which is bullish for altcoins, right? That means less of the total crypto market cap is in Bitcoin. It's now flowing into some altcoins as well, which is great. Speaking of Europe, hating on their citizens, Spain will impose fines of up to 150,000 euros, on citizens who withdraw over 3,000 euros in cash without giving a 24-hour notice. What? That is just excessive. I actually don't think that's true, but I think it is true. That's crazy. Like, crypto solves this. You don't even have to... It solves the issue with the banks, right? That's why crypto is so powerful. This is something that's been going around that I disagree with. But if you want to believe it, maybe you're right, and good luck with that. Apparently, this is like a little top indicator based off of parabolic rising on Bitcoin, which I disagree with the scale. It's a logarithmic scale, right? You'll see how it goes $3, $6, $9, $12, $40, $30. I mean, 300, 5,000, 17,000, 100,000. Like, I don't think you could really determine where the top of Bitcoin is going to be based on a chart like this, right? That would mean, like, what? Next bull run, Bitcoin is still going to be at, what, 66,000 to 100,000? We're not going to rise any further? I disagree with this chart. This has to continue rising upwards somehow, right? Surely this can't be the top. But it's, they're saying, Bitcoin will not participate in this rally, and they're expecting Bitcoin to drop from here. I just really disagree with that. We're in the middle of a bull cycle, and a lot of people are expecting Bitcoin to start to dump Thursday to Friday. And what's happening Thursday, Friday? Well, China with Trump will be speaking. Putin and Zelensky and maybe Trump will be speaking in Turkey. Fed Chair Powell will be speaking on Thursday. I mean, sure, if things go wrong, if things don't go as we expect, I'm still bullish for this week. I think everything is going to go perfectly fine and we'll continue higher. We're going to get so much good news that everything is just going to continue pumping. But if it doesn't, things can drop, sure, but I don't think it's going to be a significant drop either, right? I don't think that's going to be like the top of the cycle either. Like, we got so much time left, so much room to run. We got M2 indicators pointing upwards still, even until like July, and still making all-time highs, by the way. Well, I don't know about if it's right now making any all-time highs, but you get the point, right? We still got a couple more months to rise, so I don't think it's going to be over by then. But we'll see. I don't know. And last bit of news from Canada. Apparently Trudeau government, previous government, they spent $11 billion on overseas gender programs. Yes, that's the best way to spend $11 billion. That is just a waste of our taxpayers' money, honestly. And we re-elected Liberals for another term, so let's go. Canada GST no longer covers the interest on its national debt. It's just completely being outpaced at this point. So all the GST we're paying simply just goes to bondholders. Let me enlarge this chart. Public debt charges are projected to surpass GST revenues for the first time since the aftermath of the 2008 financial crisis. There you go. There's your elbows up, Mark Carney, financial crisis survivor at work. Why is Bradley telling me to go live? I am live, Bradley. I just checked my phone right now. I am live. Well, not for much anymore. Anyway, that's all the news that I have for today. Things are a little bit dropping, but it's normal. People are taking profits, like I said. We're lateralizing at the top. Things can't easily reverse and continue higher, so there's no point in fearing. And if it drops, that's perfectly fine. I will be accumulating even more, so I'm not scared. Bring it on. And if it drops even further down, that's even better for me. I'll just keep accumulating because I've reinstated my faith and also have my money back, or most of my money back. Taken some profits already, along the way up here. So I'm fine with a drop. That's always something you have to have as well. Just cash on the side in case of a drop. You just have to always be, in case of a drop, what are you going to do? This is what you're going to do. You have to have a backup plan every time. Yeah, that'll be all for today then. Thanks guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like and subscribe. I will not be streaming tomorrow. I'll be streaming the day after. We're in the middle of the RSI here. Literally anything can happen. Just watch out for Thursday.